Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the NY Gear Review. Today we're going to be doing a full in-depth review on the brand new watch from Coros called the Vertix. Okay, so starting off where we always start off, this watch is coming in at 75 grams. The face of the Vertix features a titanium bezel and cover. The screen featured on the Vertix is a sapphire glass with a diamond-like coating. Moving on down the list, the screen is a 1.2-inch memory LCD display with a pixel layout of 240 by 240. And it has a color range of 64 colors. The Vertix features a built-in barometer, altimeter, and compass. Moving on to the battery life, Coros claims you can get 45 days of regular use with this watch, 60 hours in full GPS mode, and then 150 hours in Ultramax GPS mode. The difference between Ultramax and regular GPS mode is that Ultramax will do a sampling rate of every 30 seconds. The Vertix is waterproof up to 150 meters, and it works in extreme cold all the way down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit. And then lastly, the Vertix features a wrist-based heart rate monitor and oximeter. Okay, let's move on from the specs and talk a little bit about using this watch. As you can see, we have a simple button layout. There are 3 buttons, one for the light, one for your menu, and then a haptic feedback dial knob sort of thing that allows you to scroll up and down through menus as well as unlock the device. So turning this knob will give you a nice subtle haptic feedback so long as you've enabled vibration. To unlock and get started, all you need to do is turn the dial until these hash marks reach the lock. This is a great way of preventing accidental unlocks during workouts or even just regular use. Response time for waking up the watch is pretty fast. On occasion, I've noticed that when I turn my wrist, it won't wake the watch up. However, because this has an always-on display, what that really means is just that the seconds aren't activated and that the light won't turn on. There are 6 widget screens available with the turn of the knob. There's a calorie and step counter widget, one for heart rate, an elevation widget, atmospheric pressure, temperature, and then any notifications that you've enabled from your smartphone. 2 things to mention here are that the temperature widget will only accurately show the temperature of water during a swim. Otherwise, the temperature readings that you'll get will actually be influenced by your own body heat. And then secondly, something that I've noticed is that images and group text messages don't show up on the Vertix, so I'll get a notification on my phone, but I won't get it on the watch. Now, that may be just an issue that happens with Android devices, as I use a Pixel, or it could be something that needs to be addressed in a future update. And then moving on to the optical sensors that are on the bottom of the watch and take your blood oxygen levels as well as your heart rate. So generally speaking, optical heart rate monitors aren't as sensitive or accurate as ANT Plus monitors that strap around your abdomen. However, generally speaking with the Vertix, I've gotten pretty close to accurate heart rate readings. Another inaccuracy that I've noticed is with elevation. I really recommend that anytime you're about to do an activity or a workout that involves having accurate elevation readouts, that you calibrate your elevation in the settings menu. As I mentioned before, the GPS had to be recalibrated before the beginning of the hike. It was reading about 2,000 feet below the actual elevation that we started at. I mentioned before in my impressions video wanting a little bit more saturation from the screen. However, after significant use with the watch, I'll note that adding saturation and more color and brightness to the screen would probably diminish the battery life for this watch, as well as I'd like to mention that I've had no problem viewing the screen in direct sunlight, and then even more so when I'm wearing like my polarized sunglasses, the screen actually does have a lot of vibrancy and those colors really do pop. The wrist straps for the watch are light yet comfortable. They have a tiny amount of stretch to them, which is great for comfort, especially since you'll want to be wearing the watch somewhat snug as to get more accurate readings from all the sensors. Really impressed with the durability, and the elastic wristband as well as the titanium bezel all lend itself to it being a total tank. I really like the options for the watch faces, and I've sort of landed on this one here. Changing the face of the watch is pretty straightforward and simple. I anticipate there will be more options in the future and possibly third-party options as well. And then modifying your workout modes through the app is also really straightforward and simple. On the majority of these watch faces, you'll have the option to just press the back button to access some of your daily information, such as sunrise, sunset, elevation, battery life, step counter, and then how many flights of stairs you've climbed. As I mentioned before, I did recently did a hike of Mount Baldy here in Los Angeles. And I'll just mention that uploading a map to the Vertix can be a little bit tricky in the beginning, but mostly that's just due to third-party apps communicating with your device. What I sort of have to do is, in order to get a GPX file downloaded, I have to use a computer, download the GPX file, get it onto my device, where I can then upload it into the app, and then it goes onto the phone. It sounds like a lengthy process. It really isn't that lengthy or too involved. But it's just something to note. I mentioned this before in the impressions video, but I'm a huge fan of the sleep monitoring. The Vertix has the ability to track how frequently you wake up during the night and also the levels at which you're sleeping, whether that be a light sleep or a deep sleep. As far as notifications and communication with your cell phone, you have the option to enable calls, text messages, and emails. I've noticed that the Bluetooth connection is phenomenal and only becomes unpaired when I'm out of range. On occasion, I've had a text go through to my Android device that then won't go through to my watch. It's rare, but it has happened. And then, like I mentioned before, group text messages and images won't go through to the Vertix. Regarding style, the style for this watch is right up my alley. I don't know what more to say about it other than that it just fits perfectly with what my desires for a watch face design and look are. Another wonderful feature about the Vertix is that the workout screens are easy to see and access during a workout. Just a quick glance at your wrist gives you all the information you need, from pace to distance, GPS signal, and so on. All workouts that you do are then saved to your phone afterwards and are packed with information on whatever activity you were tracking. Regarding the GPS, the signal is really accurate. Like I mentioned before, I did a hike of Mount Baldy and I noticed that the signal was, one, very strong, just probably due to elevation and having a great GPS signal, but also that the accuracy was spot on. The GPS is actually so accurate that even when I got a little bit off the trail, I got a notification from my watch letting me know that I had deviated from my programmed trail, which is pretty cool. The knob can be a pain in the ass to deal with if you leave the workout screen on any screen other than the map. The way it's set up is that pressing into the knob will pause your workout unless you've set it on your map. Pressing the knob won't do anything on the map. So if you're trying to get your heart rate or if you're looking at your elevation, and then you leave it on that screen, I was disappointed to accidentally pause the workout screen a number of times. And then one time I didn't even realize I had paused the workout. And so there's this big gap in my map. Something else you need to be aware of is whatever information you want to be able to access during your workout, you need to set and customize to your workout screens. So for instance, on one of my recent hikes, I hadn't put the regular time as one of the features of my workouts, and so I wasn't even able to go back to the watch face to access the time of day it was. Please don't judge any of the workout screens that I show you on my app, but I did get up to about a little over 10,000 feet of elevation, and the blood oxygen monitoring kicks in a little above 8,000, so I did get to see a little bit of how I was performing at elevation. And it wasn't great. I wasn't doing a great job, but it's nice to have the information there if you need it. I'm not sure exactly how I'll integrate that into my workouts, that knowledge and that information, but I'm sure that there are people out there who would love the option to access that type of information. For battery and charging is insanely fast. I had this watch at like 40 or 35% and I charged it for maybe a half hour, and that brought it up to a full charge. The battery life on this watch is it's remarkable. It lasts forever. It's so nice not to have to plug in this watch like every 4 days or whatever. I did this 8-hour hike with all this information, blood oxygen reading, heart rate monitoring, everything was being accessed that the watch can offer. And then at the end of this 8-hour hike, I still had 88% battery, down from 100. So that's pretty awesome. So normally I do a what I like and what I don't like section with most of my reviews. However, because I've been so impressed with the Vertix, I'm just going to go down the line with some of the complaints I have with the watch. Just because the amount of things that I like about the watch are numerous, and I feel like I've already gone through them. I do wish the temperature widget was an accurate reading of your surrounding temperature, but that's not a big deal. I'd love to have a larger pixel layout and sharper display, but overall it doesn't really impact my usage or enjoyment of the Vertix in any way. I would definitely love a way to preview your workouts or see past workouts on the watch itself. Currently, the way it's set up is all that stuff has to be accessed through the app, which is fine for now. But I'd love for further on down the line to be able to access workouts and previous exercising on the actual device. I'd also love to see more watch faces in the future that possibly offer a little bit more customization to them. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing any third-party watch faces as well as other options from Coros. Other than that, there really isn't much to complain about this watch. It enhances my workouts, it enhances my day-to-day activities. I am glad that Coros has come out with such a high-end, high-performing altimeter watch that really lends itself to the majority of activities that I'm doing. My final impressions on the watch are that it's just awesome. I can't really think of a reason why not to buy it other than it just being out of your price range. It's out of my price range. But other than that, it is just a phenomenal companion for your everyday exercises and everyday uses. All right, guys, well, that was the Vertix from Coros. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. As always, subscribe for more reviews, and we look forward to seeing you next time.